Okay, right. So before we do move on to creating the low poly, we actually need to make this a high poly as such. Before I do that, so let me just make sure that everything, including my robots, is all in my layer. Radio. It's a radio body, but I'm just need to have it's just basically the radio layer now. So I've got this radio layer. I'm going to rename this. So just radio. And then this will be my construction mesh CM. And then I'll just save that. And then I'm going to select all of this and I'm going to duplicate Control D and then create a new one. And this layer is going to be my radio underscore HP for high poly and save. So now I'm just going to hide my radio construction mesh. 1 second. Okay, that didn't work. Let's just go back till I've got that and then just deselect. Okay, so everything is in there. Select everything and create a new layer. Now if I hide that, okay, let's just come back and see what's going on. So, okay, so all of that is grouped apart from this. So let me just take this, rename it Robert's logo or log, that'll do for now. And then I want to take that into there, middle mouse and drag. Now I've got that. Okay, so I have duplicated it, but I haven't duplicated that. So I Control D, drag and drop that in radio 1. So we've got radio and radio 1. So select radio 1, add in radio underscore HP for high poly and save. So now if I hide that one, what is going on? Okay, I'm missing something really obvious. The radio 1. Radio. So radio. I'm just going to delete this altogether. Delete the layer. Radio. Let's just select everything and delete the history. Freeze transformations. Not liking that. Okay, so that's finished doing what it was doing. It was saying it was retopologizing. I'm hoping that nothing has gone wrong that I've not noticed. But let's just see. So we've got okay. 1, 2, and then can I beat this one together? So radio 1, radio 2, this one. That's already in a group. This one I'm going to add to a new layer. Radio underscore CM for construction mesh. Save. Finally, got there in the end. So I'm going to select my radio 1, bring that back on to position, hide my construction mesh. So now I've just got the high poly. And then basically with this, what I need to do is go through and smooth it out. So I've already done that, and I should have probably had it saved it as a construction mesh first, but I've not, and that's already smoothed. So that's kind of quite a destructive workflow. So it's going to be a pain for me to go back and make any edits on that. So for the rest of it, I'm going to come through and smooth it, because at the moment it's only smooth preview. And I just want to do perhaps 2 or 3 divisions in each, maybe 3 for this one. There we go, to make sure that it's smoothing out how we want it. And then don't forget about these guys. Smooth, maybe do that for 3 as well. Then we come in here, and I think there's a bit of an issue going on there. I just spotted it. That's not perfectly lined up. Let's just close that gap off. And that's still not quite right. So just want to, any kind of issues like this that you come across, you just want to make sure. There we go. And that should hopefully be airtight, but I'll check that when we come to bake. We'll just pay close attention to that area. Don't worry about that. That's just because we're extruded the way, but then we won't see that. So anyway, I'm going to come in and select this and smooth. Now these are separate items. So if I come in and do this, hang on, let me just undo. I'm going to take out those just because then it will look nicer and smooth nicer. Delete those edges like I have done with those. So object and smooth. So it will smooth all as 1, but then if I try and increase the division, say to 2, I did do it across the board, so that's fine. Normally, or sometimes it doesn't. So I may just try and do that for 3. There we go. So, ooh, super high. So I'm just, because this is what I'm going to bake from. So we've got that there. So let's turn on wireframe. So we've got this, the top. We need to do this. Smooth it a couple of times. Should be enough. I didn't realize I had that done as well, but never mind. It's all good. So then this is what I would then consider to be my high poly. Okay, so I've got all the information that I need. Bit of message geometry here and there. I'm not too fussed because so long as it's not causing surface artifacts, it's all good. And we've got that sort of information going there on the side, so it's all looking okay. And then this is what we'll bake from. So now that we've got that high poly, the next thing I want to do is actually start to create a color ID map. So what we need to do with that is essentially separate out all the different elements which have got different materials and color code them. So if we bring in our reference again, so we might want to, like these tops and the knobs, all those bits will be separate, so then we can assign different materials to all the different sections. So again, I probably should have done this before I smoothed it, and that's my fault, but the way in which I've constructed it should help me out quite a lot anyway. So for example, I've separated these body parts and all into the different elements. So I can just take this section here, and then I'm going to right click, go down to assign favorite material. I'm just going to give it a Lambert, and then it will come in here. Got a blin on it some reason. Oh yeah, that was the shiny blin. And then I'm just going to assign it a color, and I'll give this, say, a blue, and I'll name this when it's kind of the leather, which will just help me assign and see it when I come. So I'm just going to turn on textures. I shouldn't need to actually. It's because I got that turned on, that's why. Must have turned it on by accident. So I'm just going to give this a color so that we know the different materials that we'll be applying on this, essentially. So all of this will all have that same material. So existing material now, and I got the leather. Then I've got this, which if I go to find a new material or favorite material, sorry, and a Lambert, and then I'm going to assign this pink, something that contrasts it nicely, and then that can be the trim. Then I've got these pieces, so I can just double click because it's separate geometry, and right click and go to assign favorite and another Lambert, and then that can be yellow for the buckle. Oops, I've got the wrong piece there. There we go. Assign favorite Lambert. There we go, Lambert 5. Give that yellow. Buckle. And then that is also existing material and leather. That's all the same. That, hang on. I just want to come in and check on here. It's kind of the same material. I don't know if it's exactly the same material as the buckle. So I'm going to give it a slightly different color. But still contrasting. And then that can be the mesh or the grill. It's probably a better term for it because mesh will be used elsewhere. No, I've done that to Lambert 1. I don't want to do Lambert 1. I don't want to edit Lambert 1 because then that edits everything, like as you can see there. So undo. There we go. It's struggling now because it's such high poly. So if I'd done this before I smoothed it, when I smoothed it, it would still have remembered. It would have contained it easier. So that's just, my fault. I want to select that. This is going to be the trickier one. Just because there's so much information in here. Okay, I'm going to go with a slightly different method, just because selecting all of that is just going crazy on me. So I'm going to open up my material hypershade. So you can see in here I've got I can delete that buckle now. Sorry, that one, and I can delete number 4. And I can delete this. I can delete everything that I'm not using basically. And now you can see I've got my Lambert 1, which I don't want to edit or move. I've got my buckle, leather, trim. So what I'm going to do now is just come in and create a new material, Lambert 6. Rename this my grill. Change my color to say that darker yellow. And then what I can do is I can just middle mouse click and drag and drop that on. And then that applies it easier than trying to select it basically. Go to object mode, turn that off. So we've got that contrast there. This green has popped up because basically it's saying that it's got no material assigned. So that's fine because that had the blin that I deleted, and that probably had the other thing that I deleted, but that had the SVG and that had the blin, is what I'm getting at. So let's just come in and create another couple. So actually the Roberts one, that can have the buckle material. I think that's the same. Middle mouse, I'm just going to drop that on. So that's there. And then we've got this top piece. So if I bring this in, you've got this kind of brown surface, and then which matches the top. So we'll just go through and create this. So let's just create a where is it? New Lambert 7, and this will be display plate. And I'm just going to use a contrasting color. In this case, it's going to be a red. Not used a red yet. And I'm going to middle mouse and drag. Drop that on. Okay, so it's gone on everything. So what I might do is just select this, and if I can separate, there we go. So now I can kind of work on this a little bit easier. I'm going to create a new Lambert buttons, and then I'm going to make this one just a white, I think. Draw white. That might be a bad idea. Middle mouse. Just drag that onto those buttons. And then that also is the same as this. However, that middle plate needs to have the same as the red. So what I'll do now is just come in, select both of these, and come in and Control-1 to isolate them. And then I want to get the middle 4, and this is where it just becomes a little bit annoying. Okay. And then grow my selection. Right to the edge. I think that's about right. And then I will right click and assign existing color and display plate. So then that one thing has got 2 materials on. Come in and do the same. Make sure I've got it. This hasn't quite done that evenly, so I hope the other ones are right. I'll double check. Right click and assign existing material display plate. So that looks okay. Stick a face in there. Can't see any errors in this one, so that looks okay. So I'm just essentially assigning these different materials for my hypershade. Where's the hypershade gone? Here it is. So that is going to be the chrome. So new Lambert chrome. Pick pick a color. I don't think I've got green yet, so I'm going to do it with green for the chrome. Middle mouse and drag and drop. And then that bottom, I've got that kind of the black. So I'm just going to plastic Lambert. Plastic black. And I will use black for it. And then just put that in there. And that's also going to go for these bits as well. And then I've got this display, which I think I don't need to worry about because I'm going to have a screen that will be separate on there. Okay, and then I think at the moment I might get away. I know these are going to be slightly different, but I think I can just customize these button bits here. All right, so let's just select that object and that object. Come in here, read this on the other screen a moment. Isolate them. Select faces, and then I will just grow selection down to the bottom. And then drag and drop forwards and assign existing buttons. I didn't take that one. Existing and buttons. So that is essentially my color map. So everything that should have a different material now has a different material. So that backplate I may need to be sort out. So let's just come in perhaps into here. Let me just turn that on so I can just see a bit clearer. Doesn't help at all actually. That's because I've got that on. So I want my 4 central pieces. Essentially, yeah, and then I can just grow that selection. And this is why it's easier to do this before you smooth it. And I should just come in and up. And then I'm going to just assign existing material and just go to black plastic. So it'd be easier now, I think, to then separate that to be able to just give it a darker color if I need to. So now I'm pretty happy, I think, with that as my high poly complete with color ID map. Here, let's just bring this all in. So it's just radio 1. Save. Thank you very much. And then I will just delete my history, freeze file transformations, and then my pivot point's down the middle. That's okay. It's in the center of the world. That is now ready to export as my high poly. So radio 1, file, export selection, and it will take me to my scenes, but I want it in my assets file. Radio _ HB for high poly FBX, and then smoothing groups, tangent binomials, that's fine. Everything off, don't want to triangulate. Embed media, yep, that's fine, and export. And that will take that out, and that's ready to use.